everybody.
Coach, what's the assessment after this last couple of practices?
We're getting better. You know, I mean, that's what we want to continue to do. We just want to continue to change our best, continue to get better on a daily basis in every area, right? All 4 areas of our life, continue to get better. Training camp is hard. It puts a ton of strain on you mentally, physically, and emotionally. So we have to be able to see growth in all areas from that, and I think we have been. You know, you're not going to be the freshest you've been. You're not going to be the fastest you've been. You're going to be banged up. You're going to be bruised. But how can you respond to that when you hit the field? As long as we know you're giving everything you have, we'll be able to fix all those other corrections, because there should be some mistakes right now. There should be some things that we've got to be able to learn from and continue to grow mentally. So I was really pleased. I did tell them with their response. We had our best walkthrough. Might not sound like a lot to you, but our walkthrough was the best it's been this morning. And then for them to come out and practice like they did with the energy they had, again, middle of week 3, that's a circumstance. We can't allow that to dictate how we practice. We got to continue to get better and just take one step at a time.
What injury situation you guys like Winfield?
He's doing great. Again, we're not going to rush that guy back. I promise you that. We're going to do everything we can to make sure he's 100% healthy when he does return. But you know, he was jogging today and running. So you know, Arno Reinberger is one of the best in the country in terms of rehab. And Coach Sip, our new trainer, has done a tremendous job. And even when you're a new trainer, building trust amongst the players, and I think they trust him 100% because they see the results. They see how fast these guys are getting back. They see also, you know, the lack of a lot of soft tissue muscle injuries. They see a lot of other injuries go down. So you know, I'm proud of the staff and proud of the training staff and definitely our strength staff. So it's a compliment to them. But we're getting better. But again, I'm not one just to force a guy back in there. I want to make sure he's cleared. I want to make sure he can do everything he has to do. But there's a certain process we do as we go through that.
How far has Ray Estes come the last couple of weeks?
Well, 2 weeks ago he was a quarterback. Had never played defensive back ever, and now he's in the rotation to play. So does that tell you how deep we are in the secondary? Sure does. A kid that's a true freshman, played quarterback 2 weeks ago, he's going to play. He might have an outside shot of starting. So that just shows you our need for defensive backs, which again, we've got to fill those recruiting gaps, you know, in 18 and 19. But right now it's all hands on deck. But eventually those freshmen become sophomores, and then they become juniors, and then they become seniors, and they've played for 4 years. So.
Any closer to your quarterback decision?
Yep, I am. Yep, we're done. We're gonna play them both. Yep, that's my decision. In terms of the starter, they're both the starter. Here's the reasons, so I can make sure everybody's very clear on this, so everybody hears it very clearly from me. Both quarterbacks don't have game experience, true game experience. 1 game for Connor, a few snaps for Demery. If I was to tell you I know exactly how those quarterbacks are going to play in a game, that's a guess. That's a hypothesis. Okay. Both quarterbacks have continued to get better. Every time I think I see one nudging someone else out, the other one closed the gap and then passed them, and they've continued to do that as they continue to go. So that tells me, this late in training camp, as that continues to be the case, that both of them deserve to play. This is going to be a competition with each other, not against one another as we hit the season. Just so everybody's familiar with 2 quarterbacks, I did that my first year as a head coach. Did it my 4th year as a head football coach with Tom Flacco, substituting and playing a little bit with Zach Terrell. But we play in the Big Ten. If we think we're going to go through the Big Ten and not need 2 quarterbacks at some point, I think we're crazy to think that. We're going to need them. And usually you have a quarterback behind that's played, so you feel good about he's had game experience. We don't have that. We're going to have to be able to create the backup and the starter as we continue to go through the games. And I think that's what we have to do. If you look at Alabama in the last 10 years, Ohio State, Florida, LSU, they've all won national championships with multiple quarterbacks. And we have to be able to play that. That's what's best for our program right now. That's what's best for the development of the quarterbacks and for us to take the next right step. I can't sit there and tell you how many reps everybody's going to get. This is not a controversy. This is 2 guys are going to start. They both earn the right to play. We are going to run the same system. This is not 2 quarterbacks with 2 separate systems. Right? This isn't like, okay, he does this really well, so we're going to be triple option with this guy, and we're going to be spread with this guy. Both quarterbacks will have the complete open offense to our system. We're not going to change that for anybody, and let them run the offense. If one decides, or as we keep going through the system, if one's playing way better, maybe he'll get more snaps. so on and so forth. We'll handle that accordingly. But if I'm going to sit here, both guys I'm so proud of because they've gotten so much better. They both deserve to play, and they both done nothing to lose the job to each other. But as we're getting closer, so why am I naming it now? I'm naming those two now because for us to be able to play two quarterbacks, we have plenty of time before Buffalo. We can start game planning and get the game plan in so they can take multiple reps, because that's the one thing, reps, when you have two quarterbacks, you got to get enough reps. There's everybody else taking, everybody else is taking their normal reps, but then you got quarterbacks splitting those. So you've got to make sure you have plenty of time. The Buffalo game and Oregon State game, we have plenty of time to get both quarterbacks prepared. By that time, we feel like the system should be very secure in their minds. And then as we continue to game plan, we feel like as we go through the season, they should get plenty as we continue to go forward. Now again, that could change during the season, but that is what is best for the University of Minnesota Golden Gophers right now, with the situations that's been presented and the way our quarterbacks have played. And I'm very, very proud of the way they've progressed. And it's a compliment to them, all right, that I'm not able to sit there and say, okay, you're the only starter and you're two and you won't play. That's a compliment to them, because that's what I've wanted. I told them today when I sat them down, I said, that is what I've wanted. It's not that you sit there and hope for a two quarterback deal. You want someone, because it's easier. You got one quarterback, that's the one you focus on. This guy's had plenty of reps, he's a backup, he's a 3-year backup guy, he knows all the plays. We just don't have that right now. And so it's a compliment to them that it's put me in a position where something I haven't done in a while, in terms of true rep splitting them. But it's something we're familiar with and have done. So I look forward to that. I'm really excited for the future with these guys and what they can do. They both have strengths, they both have some weaknesses, but as we continue to move into the future, right? I mean, you look at number 11 and he's only a sophomore. Okay, well, if the nod goes to Connor, well then you're looking at the future, okay, how are we going to develop that? We're going to be in the same position we were next year at this time. But also, if you just play him, well then, Connor's got a ton of leadership qualities he can bring to this football team. So I know that's a very long-winded answer, but there's a lot of reasons, guys, of what goes into picking a starting quarterback, especially when you're going to pick two. But again, it'll be, I'm not sure, I don't know the ratios, guys, 3-to-1, 2-to-1, 2-to-2, 1-to-3, I don't know yet. It just kind of depends how the next few weeks go in their development.
I mean, does some of it feel, if Demery starts against Buffalo 2 weeks from tonight, leads you on a long touchdown drive, don't you have to go back to him that second series?
Well, here's where I think you have the perceptions versus the coach's decisions. A lot of times when you say, we're going to do this if that happens, okay, in a game, that's letting the circumstance dictate what you think is best for the team before you get in there. Especially, I think, at least in the first half, right? We're going to set these amount of reps, we're going to set this amount of series and let them play. When I was at Ohio State, we platooned our 1 offensive line and 2 offensive line against Texas. And I still remember that with Coach Tressel, and the offensive to Coach Bowman at the time was just irate. There's no way we can do this. We're playing Texas. Offense goes down, scores a touchdown. We put the 2s in. And then all of a sudden, it's like, whoa, the offense just scored. Well, the 2s went right down the field and scored again. And it was just, that was the plan. We're sticking to the plan. So whatever that is, obviously as we continue to go through the season, we'll have knowledge. Right now, the reason why we haven't done that, I don't have game knowledge. That's the hypothesis, that's the guess that you have. I know what they'll do from the practice field. I know what they'll do in a quote-unquote scrimmage, but what we've done in the scrimmage, which I've put a ton of emphasis on, we've come out with both of them being starters because they haven't separated themselves enough. That's a great question, though.
How did they take the news? Obviously they've been competing for weeks now.
Competing with each other. I think that they were excited. One thing about them, their eyes lit open and their smiles were bright, because I wanted to see a reaction. And I just said, hey, pick the starter. It's both of you. And they both kind of looked at me like, all right. And at least it wasn't like, oh. That they both are incredible competitors, and they both poured a ton into this. And that's where we are as a football team. And I think if you would ever poll half our football team, or our football team, half would pick one, half would pick the other, maybe. It's that close. So when you're sitting there saying both guys don't have experience, let's see what they do in games. Bless them. Like I said before, the experience is what we're lacking. And if we ever lose the starter, whoever that is, and then 2 is, we're back to where we started anyway. We've got to be able to develop that, especially as we get into conference play.
Hey guys, we'll take one more for Coach if there is one. If not, we'll bring over Connor and Demery.
How does having 2 quarterbacks affect the chemistry with the wide receivers at all, or have they gotten a lot of reps with all of them?
Well, here's the one thing about the chemistry is they both throw in the exact same amount of balls to those receivers, whether it's been spring ball, whether that's been training camp. It's not like somebody's been throwing those balls over the course of a longer period of time than somebody else, right? And they've built that relationship. Here comes this new kid, right? And they've only had him for 2 weeks. That hasn't been the case. So I think our wide receivers have they have relationships, they have the camaraderie, they have the understanding, but again, we need more consistency on a day-to-day basis, and it's hard to be able to sit there and say, okay, well, they have all this camaraderie with this 4-year starter, and then you're putting somebody else in. That's the predicament we're in. But that's also, I think, an advantage for us. You know, people talk about what they haven't seen from these guys. What I'm excited for is what we haven't seen from them. That excites me. It's that risk, right? There's that risk factor, and I love that.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
You got it, guys. There you go. There it is.
Hi, Coach.